What is up, everyone? I'm Jeff Lund, and this is the Mediocre Alaskan Podcast, episode 92, creeping up on that 100 there. I was scrolling through some other podcasts and some other just, Instagram type things that have to do with the outdoors, and I kind of had to make a decision going forward. Like, what's the purpose of this? When I first started, it was just to kind of talk, and is it really about monetizing? Is that the end game? Because it seems like everybody is trying to find some sort of way that they can monetize it. And they're really excited about having a podcast with sponsors. And if at some point I do get sponsors, and you'll look at the bottom of the mediocrealaskan.com when you check that out, and you'll see Vortex Optics, you'll see Caffeine and Kilos, and you'll see Matt Hamilton's art there. I don't want to be judgmental. I just want to make a comment. It seems like everything is about monetizing thing. It's about, hey, how can I take money from you, and how can I just get sponsors so it like validate yourself. I have those three on there. I'm not sponsored at all by them. I just like the companies. I like the way the way they go about their business. I use Vortex Optics, and I actually asked if I could put their logo on there because I love their products, and it's fine. But I'm getting I'm not, for every click or an advertising thing, I'm not getting a kickback or anything like that. Caffeine and Kilos, I don't get anything from there. I write for them. And then Matt Hamilton is just, if you listen to the last podcast, episode 91, like you just see the type of guy that he is, and so I want to support him. It seems like, especially in the outdoor world, we're doing this. It's weird, man. I was talking with my buddy Mark, who was up here bear hunting, and as outdoors people, outdoors men and women, we want access, and yet we also don't like pressure. And there's such a huge market now for helping people get to different places. And they have every right, and that's fine. It's just an interesting thing to mull over and discuss, that people are making it easier to hunt different areas, and which tags to sign up for, and which tags to get, and how to do it. There's even services that will kind of do all that stuff for you. And it's just super interesting that you're advocating potentially for someone who lives in that area to experience more pressure. And the last thing that we want as hunters is more pressure in our area, right? It's just a weird thing. Again, people who are doing that are providing a service that's important, and it's making hunting accessible. And we have fewer hunters than ever. And there's such not than ever, but there are fewer hunters. And we are, I don't want to say attacked, but hunters are increasingly being judged against the model man going forward and woman going forward, and it's more socially acceptable to, eat cricket protein or whatever it's going to be. The Meat Eater had a great article. I can't remember who wrote it about. There was a New York Times article, and it left out how the article was about getting meat and how bad it is for the earth. And so if you want to be more earth conscious, then you will not eat meat from the meat industry. But there was no mention in there about getting meat yourself through hunting. So it's in urban areas, the hunting thing is just an obsolete and archaic, no longer socially acceptable thing to do. So we need to get more people into hunting so that our lifestyle is still represented. It has to be represented. And if we live in a free country, then why is it that so many people are advocating for a proper type of freedom, or a freedom that supersedes another freedom? And my freedom to not feel bad, and my freedom to love animals supersedes your freedom from going out and harvesting an animal and making it dinner. It's just a weird thing. So I don't think I'm making any sense right now. So we are marketing hunters to be able to have richer experiences in different states. And if I go to a different state, I am increasing the amount of pressure, potentially, that the local person who lives there and who has scouted it out, like I'm now that guy maybe wearing the orange vest that a local guy's like, gosh dang it, man, I spent so many hours outside and here this guy is wandering all around not knowing what he's doing. But that's the way it is, you know? Just a weird thing to think about. It's not bad, it's not wrong, it's just a thing though. So I think maybe the point that I am making is that it's extremely important for us when we go to hunt different areas. And I just put in for a mule deer hunt in Wyoming, which I love to get. That'd be great. Spent $500 on the application there. I'd love to get it. But when I go down there, I got to know that I can go to that land. It's my land. I'm a public landowner. But I don't live there, and it is different. So even though I can go to all that land, I can go to public land and I can hunt it. I have every right to that, but I just don't want to have that entitled sort of attitude, right? I have to know that I'm a guest in a different state. Even though I'm entitled to that land, I need to be conscious about being a good guest. And that thing has just been really... I haven't had the conversation yet that really makes me feel like I've cleared that thought and that idea about being a good guest and how important it is. And it just, I think it'll continue to eat at me because I always see examples up here in Alaska. I love May. May is so great here in Alaska because you got steelhead and you got grouse and you got bear and, I'm dabbling in shrimping. It's so great. And you don't have a whole lot of the visitors yet and the guests. And so it's the best. The weather is amazing and everything is great, but it's not inundated with non-locals. Summertime, you go outside, you're trying to troll, you're trying to fish, you're just trying to get around, and you have people who don't know really what they're doing, or they're used to more, even guides especially, who guide down south, who are used to high traffic areas and used to fishing really close to other people. Whereas here, a lot of the local guys, they're not used to that, right? That's not how we fish up here. And so you're fishing in June and July, and man, there's people everywhere. You have the novice person who wants to do it themselves, which is fine, and they're out there, and you got just people everywhere. So May is nice because you don't really have to share it, And I know that makes me sound like kind of a jerk, but you live in a place and you endure the winter. Right? You chose to live here. And so when the best that place has to offer is out and in full bloom, you're really excited for it. You've been waiting. That's one of the reasons why you live here. I call this place home because of that, because of those things. And so there can definitely be that potential for feeling a little bit less than welcoming of people who might not be as courteous. They feel that they're entitled to big fish. They're entitled to crab. They're entitled to whatever because they paid good money to come up here. And I've talked to some buddies who are guides, and the most fun they have are with the people who come up and they're just excited to be here. They're just as excited. They want to catch fish, of course, but they don't ignore the whale, right? They'll still stop and they'll look at the eagles. They're just totally taken by the entire experience. It's not just about catching a big fish so they can take pictures of it and they can take the fish back home and have it freezer burn because they didn't really want the fish. They just wanted the picture. But the people who just love it and appreciate it and talk about recipes and how they're going to cook it and how they're going to give some of it away, but not all of it because it's a good olive branch or it's a good currency, but they also want to eat it themselves. Like those people are great. And it just, as a local, it makes you appreciate this place that much more.
After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. For anyone who hates their phone bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. I was hesitant about having to get a new phone and a new phone number, but with Mint, you can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone and your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or for a family, and at Mint, families start at 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and to get the plans shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/waypoint. That is mintmobile.com/waypoint. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/waypoint.
Because people spend so much time and money and effort to come up here, and I find sometimes I'm not as conscious of whales or bald eagles, but then when you see people just stop and look at that, it reminds you, like, dude, you live here, man. This is crazy. Yeah, the steelhead and the grouse and the bear and the shrimp and all that stuff is great, but also, man, you got eagles around here nonstop. Let's not forget about those things, right? So in some ways, the tourists, the summer guests are refreshing because they remind you of the perspective, and they remind you that it's not just about the big ticket items, but it's also the little things, and you should definitely be reminded. So I love that. And I also love people who enjoy it when they come up here. They're just it is the trip of their lifetime. And you like to see people who are happy, right? People who have good attitudes, people who are happy. Those are the types of people that you want to show around. You want to kind of give some local insight, that you want to chat those people up, man. That's the best thing about visiting different areas. And you meet that local who's a good person, and then you hang out, you have a great experience. These people that you'll never see again, more than likely, but you might stay in touch. That's the best part of traveling sometimes, is the people that you meet in these areas, which is great. So of course, the worst part of it is, you get the traffic, you get the people that know any better, who don't put a cent into or care much about the local economy outside of what they paid for and what they think they're entitled to. So just more thoughts on the being a guest. Yeah, it's your land. You're entitled to your 1 fish per day or your whatever, but I just think that there's manners. There's manners. There's being a guest. Speaking of kind of getting the wrong idea or getting the wrong priorities, I've been thinking the last couple of weeks about social media and what I was putting on there, and if there have been times in which I was just chasing likes and just posting the best of things and the highlights, and if I went out and it wasn't successful, that I wouldn't post about it. But I felt kind of liberated in going out and doing, like, having the success that I wanted and then not posting about it, because I'm getting there's no validation comes from it. So the only validation and the only happiness I'm getting is from the actual experience, because it's not being reinforced on social media. So going out shrimping, and if you take a picture of going out, right, but not of the catch, right? You go out steelhead fishing, catch one, but you don't post about it. If you are happy and it's just as fulfilling, then it's about the right thing. But if you go out there, you catch steelhead, and you don't feel good about it, and you feel like it's a big secret because no one knows about it, then, well, maybe check yourself a little bit there. So, not being just about results based. And then also, in the same way that I'm looking at my podcast, and what's the point of the podcast? Is the point of the podcast going to make money? Is that thing? Am I just going to be another person who just everything's about money? And so how can I monetize this? And the same thing with the social media. Like, is it just about getting followers and likes, or is there, I don't want to say a motivator or an influencer, because there's people who are way better than that. But maybe just, if a dude like me can go out there and have fun and have this medium to low level of success and be happy about it, that means there's a lot of people out there who can just go out there. And it's the first time they've done stuff. And they're trying to figure stuff out. Man, if someone else like reminded that there's a lot of cool stuff to do outside, then that's the point. It's kind of like teaching in that you never really see the impact you have, because most kids graduate. I know I didn't really tell my teachers that the impact they had on me until much, much later. But it's kind of a thankless job in that you don't get that you don't know if you had an impact. You can kind of hope you did. But maybe with the Instagram, there's a lot of people who I follow on Instagram where, they don't have a ton of followers, but they just get after it. Like, they're a really authentic person who's living a life. They're not a character. It's not a production. Their social media and their podcast and whatnot. So I like the real honest stuff, and I like the, good people. Just be around good people who are enthusiastic, who want to get after it. I was listening to the Jay Ferruggia podcast. And I love that guy. The Renegade Radio podcast is a great podcast, Jay Ferruggia. Talking about people with similar goals, like-minded goals. People who want to get after it, and they're good people. People that you can. There's no agenda, all right? It's not about you tell your story, but the entire time that you're telling your story, this person is not listening because they just can't wait to tell their story. And you just go back and forth trying to one-up each other. And there's no substance to that. So I wanted to make sure that this podcast has some sort of substance. I want to make sure that my social media has some sort of substance. Like, am I providing any sort of product, or am I just another guy that's chasing likes? Am I just another podcast that, if I have enough followers, maybe I'll try to monetize it, or I can't wait to be able to say I have this sponsor. I'll take a sponsor. Absolutely. If people want to feel that my podcast is worth sponsoring on, absolutely I'll do it. But that can't be the main goal. That can't be the number one thing. Because the people and the businesses that I like to follow and that I like to support are legitimate. That the people behind it. When my buddy Danny with Caffeine and Kilos, he just wants to be all about it. And the people who've supported his business are all about it. And you want to be around those people who are all about it. And about it meaning the process, the hustle, the product, the lifestyle, really the lifestyle, not the lifestyle of monetizing things. So you can say, my podcast has this, man, and it can't be what it's about. You get caught up in it though. I got caught up in it with the social media and with the podcast. Man, it'd be sweet if you get some sponsors, get some free stuff, and make some money. And it can't be what it's all about. It can't be. Yeah, that in mind, we'll cut this guy short here. Went out this morning, 5:30. I was out, went and checked the shrimp pots, and man, it was just a beautiful day. If I had a full tank of gas, I was thinking about shooting across all the way over to Helm Bay, which is where there should be some brown bear. But I just got a little 15-foot skiff, and it was smart that I did not try that because I've never been there before, never gone across before, and then you never know, man. The afternoon, the weather can pick up here, and you get the wind, and things can get hairy pretty quick. So we'll call that episode 92. Thanks for everyone who's giving comments on the iTunes. So if you could rate on iTunes, if you could leave a comment, that's fine. If not a big deal. I'm still going to keep pumping these out. So make sure you check out the MediocreAlaskan.com for content. And we will talk to you next time.